Today, we have Ursula with us to talk to us about our soul, our purpose, and how it forms our lives, Steiner Waldorf education and its practical impact. So Ursula has been involved with Kuala Lumpur Steiner Education as a consultant mentor since December 2018. She has been involved in bringing Steiner education ideas into practice for practically her lifetime all over the world, including founding schools, teacher training, coaching, consultation, and counseling engagement in Germany, Switzerland, Greece, Romania, Taiwan, and Malaysia. And most recently in Taiwan and Malaysia, she has been involved with setting up courses in teacher training and specialized courses for foreign language teachers, both on location and online. Ursula was a member of the founding team and teaching team of a Waldorf school in Germany. She set up the foundation for growth from strength to strength. And during this pandemic, Ursula back to the school where she has started, and now she is the main class teacher for grade 3. And Ursula was also a lecturer at the Waldorf Institute in Germany, where she initially received her studies and training to become a full-time Waldorf form teacher. There, she was involved in mentoring and training teachers in Germany and Romania, most notably mentoring the first Waldorf school in former East Germany. And now, let's welcome Ursula to bring to us the topic today.
Thank you very, very much for the welcome, and I apologize again for these technical problems we had. And you see, the headline in itself seems to be the lecture already. So it is a bit of the ideas behind Waldorf I want to talk about, and then later on some practical impact, especially with a focus on how we engage the arts in our Waldorf curriculum. So you see, with all these challenges we are facing in our days, it may doom to our minds that the human being is not at all in the state of reasonableness. And since we are contemporaries of our time, we know and maybe doubt sometimes the sense of the purpose we're here for, especially when it comes to our children. We have no idea into which kind of future we are going to send them. So when they sit there in front of us day after day, we may every now and then despite of the daily task we have, wonder what will it be, the future where they go to within 10 years time, 20 years time. Once, what phase will they, what world will they be living in when they are my age? But sure, we may have some intuitiveness that their future, taking all the problems mankind caused to our planet, will not be rosy for them in the first place. But they are there. They are our promising juniors with their different longings that we can sense, and with their different talents that we can see, with their dreams, their endeavors. And what can we offer them so they may develop their individuality and grow the abilities they will need for the future? What abilities will they need? Can we know that? And what do we have to give them? What is fundamental for them to withstand these challenges in the future, to weather the life they are heading for? And if you're asking yourself these kind of questions, I can tell you, you're already way into the heart of the Waldorf education. For Waldorf always has been, and hopefully will go on to be, worried about our children in the first place, their personalities, their needs, for their growing up. And as such, it is an education that wants to train the abilities in them to ask, rather than old style education, which wants the children to train the children in a way that they give the right, the proper, and the well-marked answers. Mankind, on the whole, is fighting on different levels and in many fields, mostly in the social and cultural spheres. Since we so overemphasized our practical, well-equipped and organized lifestyle for the past, say, 200 years. To me, it seems we have shamefully neglected those fields which are the spiritual mission of the human being, the self-development in social and cultural areas. Whatever conflicts, and this to understand ourselves first and foremost as a soul and spiritual being, whatever conflicts we have on our mind these days, we can trace them back to the inability of understanding human nature in that way of being, on the first hand, a soul spiritual being. Let me pay some attention to a spirit who also bothered, even though some centuries ago, with the nature of the human being. And maybe, Ingwen, you can help me to show us Friedrich Schiller, whom you might remember from school times yourself, a German poet and writer. He lived in the times of classicism, even though the times were not called classicism then, but after him, he was a contemporary of Goethe and a dear friend of him. We call these times classicism, before the age of enlightenment, which came to follow. And he has expressed himself in his great plays, where he masterly describes the human nature and his play characters. But he not only did this, creating plays which are still to be seen in the theaters worldwide these days, he also was a philosopher, and he was a lecturer in the Jena University, and part of the group of the Weimar classicism together with his friend Goethe. And certainly he was one who wrought his brain and heart on how to better the human being. I guess you all know his Ode to Joy, which is a poem written by him. Beethoven dressed it up in music. Well, he wrote his so-called letters on the aesthetical education of men. Actually quite philosophical essays, and good to read if you want to train your thinking abilities. I give you one short idea as an essence of his writings in these letters, which I should say for educators, parents, and professionals all the same, is a kind of meditation sentence. I think we can have the next slide. There you are. Man is only fully human when he plays. Logically taken, we can turn this sentence round in a way that we say, if man is not playing, he or she is not fully human. And that rings a Chinese gong, doesn't it? Let's look around in our world. Do we play? When do we play? How do we play? Aren't we too effective? Haven't we been brought up too effectively in our lives to do so, to play? Aren't we brought up in a way that we are told not to waste time by playing around? Don't we strive to organize our days so they are structured in a way that we are and work and live effectively? But then, if we play, how do we play? What do we play? Maybe the time is already there where we understand play only as screen time. And actually these Corona times have us guided there quite a bit. So no longer is there the time strolling on streets and in nature or in wilderness, inventing our own games with loads of friends around ourselves. No grown-ups or big brothers to watch you and control you. Setting everything right and looking after you. No, freedom to stroll, freedom to invent, freedom to play for hours in the day, like it was in my childhood. These times seem to have gone for loads of children on the earth. How much room is there left for our children to gain all these important life skills through play, which they will need to grow into a person wholesome in body and confident in mind? How much space is there left for them? And how much time during the day, during their lifetime, is there left for play? I think life these days is running a path where a child's life is deeply deprived more and more of their full and real needs. We find in the contemporary artist movements artists who are mostly working in a niche, but working creatively all the same. Only usually the world is not interested in their art and in their creativity and how it came about. They are rather interested in the money they can invest in art, only to be sure that it is a kind of entertainment and of financial value. Growing rich by art is the aim in these days mostly. I do not say that artists can live without money, but what I regard as real art for the sake of creativity is rarely renowned. And creativity is rather something that when it appears in society is rather disturbing. This is also what some artists want. They want to wake us up. They want to bring things into disorder. Sometimes it can be regarded as chaos. And this is how people often look like it. And then we want our world not to be at disorder. We want it to function and be orderly, don't we? Art as such may have and may need chaotic processes. And I think we must give ourselves the freedom in allowing this. And real art always ends up in the end balanced and expresses some kind of harmony in the end. A harmony that is felt rather than understood. And a harmony that has been fought for. To me, one of the greatest contemporary artists is Andy Goldsworthy, born in the UK, and we may have this one. And he developed a very own style in what you can see here as land art, working with the elements of nature. Stones, earth, soil, sand, fruit, leaves, wood, rocks even, water, you can see in many of his works. And in his work, in some or very many of his opuses, so to say, you see that working with the natural elements, you don't create an art that lasts for a long time. Of course, we have the possibility of taking the photos and thus keeping the pieces of art, but those are just the photos. And he reckons with the possibility that what he does, what he creates, is just a momentum that he keeps in his art and then gives way for being destroyed again. And this is exactly what I find so admirable in his work. The bravery to create and the awareness of the moment's process. And right after the work is done, or more or less right after it was done, it elapses. So he works on beaches, in meadows and woods and water. And his work clearly shows that the idea is brought into being. It was not there before. He creates this. He has an idea about what to do with the material and he brings something new about it. It would not be there if he was not working for this and bring this new creation about. So it's land art. And meanwhile, you may even study it academically. It also shows to me how the creative life of children should be. Take what is there. Experiment. Be curious. Try this way, that way. Throw away, start again. Try out. Let it be there, and then let go again. Only to unite with the world around you, to experiment. A way of loving the world, look at the world with loving eyes and try what you can make of it. And sure, this requires ideas. It requires time. Maybe it even requires a kind of boredom, what you call boredom, where you sit and think and feel you are creative within yourself. You need off time. And then you invent something which would not be there if you would not do it. We can't do this in a rush. We have to be, in a way, contemplative. In 1917, and now let me go to Rudolf Steiner when he gave this lecture. I'm quoting in the midst of the First World War in 1917 to his followers. And then back in 1917, there was no question yet about setting up a Waldorf school. But in this lecture, he points out that in the future, the greatest assaults to mankind will be done to the education of children, due to the blindfold of the educators not seeing man as a soul, spiritual being. But an educator in the future, he says, to act wisely, should be able to truly read in the souls of the children in order to bring them up and guide them into the future. Furthermore, he says, the educator should grow the ability to live with life's contradictions, not judging, but striving to balance in everyday life the situation he is meeting with the children. This is the main reason why later, when Steiner set up the Waldorf curriculum, as a curriculum back then that should work children and mankind into the future, the then future, and it should meet the needs for the future of the children. And sure, we can say that now 100 years later, this future has become present. So he said in those days that we need to add all possibilities we can give the children in engaging themselves and training themselves and training them in the arts. All kinds of artistic activities should be added to the curriculum. And I guess we can have this list now. I gave you in one to see what are all the subjects that we engage throughout the years. So the wholesome curriculum from grade 1 to grade 12 includes all these artistic activities as we see it here. So we see the sculpture work that we do already in grade 1 with some wax, some clay. When they grow older and they play around with the sand and soil, later, or in upper school, they even do the wood sculpture, the stone sculpture. They learn to work with metal, with paper and cloth, whatever you can make out of it, making dolls, making puppets on the string. So all this is included throughout the years. We do have over the years, and from the very, very first lesson in a Waldorf school, the drawing activities, not only in the drawing lessons, but in all different kinds of lessons we engage, and we want the children to learn to set up their own lesson books, to make their own block books, as we call them. And they know and they learn the art of drawing with charcoal, with the earthen colors we have, with the crayons and the pencils. So we want them to be engaged and to do it by themselves for certain kind of experiences. You find the painting, mostly wet painting, but in older grades, also other fluid colors. Working with the colors throughout the years, and not only during a painting lesson. And then again, a very important subject is the music, where we also try to engage the children from the very beginning in different vocal and instrumental activities, hopefully in a way that later, when they grow older, say they are grade 7 and 8, they can join small orchestra, so that they also have, along with this music, not only the individual training, but learning to play music in a group. With a movement, we engage the eurythmy, and in gymnastics, a kind of artistic gymnastics, the Bothma gymnastics, or if we can, the rhythmic dancing, which we have a lot in folk dancing, folk singing. And you can find language as an art, not only in the foreign language subjects, but also in acting and playing theater, in little plays. When they are small, and in presentations, play presentations when they grow older. We have the art of storytelling, which is the art of the teachers not to read out stories, but to tell them the stories in an artistic way. And we engage lots of poetry and rhymes and rhythms throughout the years of teaching the children, day after day. And then last not least, we have the applied arts in our program, as well as the other arts, so that everything they do and learn in these various fields, they can develop their aesthetical sense, as well as growing their skills in working with different kinds of materials which are useful. Everything they do in these applied arts should be useful and beautiful, very much as we know it from the arts and crafts movement. So all these arts we find throughout the years in our Waldorf curriculum. And all these subjects, as subjects in the school curriculum, they are arranged in a way that they meet the soul development of the child, so that they can make the right experiences in the age which can take this in. So we want them to grow practical abilities and skills. We want them to have a broad variety of experiences throughout their school life, when they are not yet fixed to go into either direction in their lives, and when they still have the choice of what they are good in, and to also experience what are they good in themselves? What are their talents and what can they learn? And maybe we even upheave some talents which they didn't know were there. So how can you know if you don't engage yourself in them? So they should gain through this a lot of knowledge, which is not written down and which cannot be tested only in the performance they do in these subjects, of course. And in all this, they gain loads of knowledge in our own cultural heritage, in their cultural heritage. So we pass it on in a way. They also can make experiences in overcoming their obstacles by practicing, by trying. If something doesn't work right, they practice and overcome obstacles. Hopefully, they can experience to discover what lies in themselves. And they also gain aesthetical experiences and grow through doing all these steps and all these activities and growing their will power to work on content until they themselves achieve. This is what engaging yourself in the arts can teach you, and it can do it much better for life skills than academic training. And this is why all our subjects in the Waldorf School, and not be they art subjects or be they scientific subjects, the same, or be they practical subjects, should be taught and brought to the children artistically and aesthetically. And to give you this overview, this list is practically very much from the point of view of having the curriculum at the age 7 to 14, when they are young age at school, and then the teenagers from 7 till school end, where they grow more skills. This is the time where they should learn in the early time of the school. They should learn to love the world through these engaging activities, through engaging them in themselves in the arts and gaining the skills, being guided by the teachers. This is very much our aim in these first years of school until around grade 7, grade 8. And then when they grow into teenagers and they have this longing for understanding the world, not only for loving and being engaged in the world, but for understanding the world, then we work on this different level in giving them background on what they are doing and seeing. And you know, you can have all these young teenagers sitting in grade 10, having long discussions with the eurythmy teacher of why and what it means and why they should do it, and in other subjects as well. So then the teachers have to fight for and give them reasons, good reasons for why it is important to do this way, this and that, and this way and that way. Whereas in the young school years, the young children, they usually do what the teacher asks them to do, and the teacher himself should be sure it is the right material and the right subject and the right activity he is giving them in order to develop their skills. So, yeah, this is the overview I wanted to give you. And when I started with Schiller, that man is only truly man when he plays, you can easily see that I bring this together with artistic activities, because these subjects give us the freedom to try out. And they want time to develop ourselves. It wants time that we develop ourselves. And these are the subjects where we can best guide the children through the years of school in order to grow a broad variety of skills and knowledge and understanding. So when I started this lecture with these words, that man is only really human where he plays, we can bring this together now with the subject of the curriculum, of the subjects of the curriculum, in a way, not that we play around in school, but that we understand that we use the arts for education in becoming creative and in becoming ourselves, our human selves, in working through these subjects throughout the years in school, to become a real self-confident human being, young grown-up. So when I started with Schiller, let me end with Goethe, a friend of Schiller, much older than him at the time of their friendship, with a word where he says, people are annoyed that the truth is so simple, but they should consider that they will have enough troubles to exercise it to their achievement. So these two lines are kind of guidelines which we can engage to understand and see through our curriculum. So Ingwen, this was the input I wanted to give, and I'm ready to welcome any kind of questions that occur concerning the world of pedagogy.
Thank you, Ursula. So everyone, if you have any questions, you may type in the chat room or you may just unmute yourself.
You may, of course, ask, how do we bring these ideas to the children? How do we make them, or how do we offer the possibilities in a world of school? This, of course, is a great question, because it's an ideal I spoke of, and every little school and in the different countries, situations are different. But the one thing you do need is, of course, the teachers who engage themselves in this artistic work and who can see that teaching is not only a business to be handled, to pass on information and to manage the children in the classroom, but that it is a task, doing it, if you want to do Waldorf, doing it in an artistic way, and to engage all these arts within yourself, which is a huge task and which requires time all the same. So yes, this is what Goethe means when he says it will be difficult enough to put things into being. however simple they are.
There is no question in chat room. I think everyone may need some time to digest.
Maybe yes.
Yeah.
So for the teachers, are there teachers among our listeners, I guess? Yes.
Yes. Hi. We have Yao Mei Mei.
Yeah, Ursula. Yeah.
Hi,
Good evening.
can see you, yes.
Yeah, just now you mentioned about the arts and craft in various fields. Yeah, I'm presently handles grade 8, class 8, 14. And yeah, about the arts and craft, yeah, it really, the children, it seems like we sometimes we have lack of idea what to let them do that can really stir up their interest. They really committed there in.
Yeah.
We did last year we did a doll. Yeah. While we are teaching them this physiology, the nutrients and physiology, the anatomy of the people. And then I think, I think that is the right things to do. But a lot of time that whatever we give them, it seems like they have no interest. Can you enlighten us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we have to find out. Yeah. Not always when we take interest in something, it will also interest the students. Yeah. So I can only give you a basic hint on what to choose. From my experience, it's always good to give them a choice of different possible tasks. Yeah. Because they like to be engaged in, I like this or I don't like this. I want to learn this. I don't want to learn this. So do we have this idea on our mind? Can I offer something they want to learn? If not, if you kind of say, this is the one thing we are going to make, like in grade 7, I know with handicraft, when they have to do, the idea is to let them make shoes, right? You may have heard of that. Or in your case, maybe leather sandals or something, or leather is not a good idea in your country, I know, then let it be straw sandals or anything which requires quite a lot of skill, but it's useful all the same and serving our basic needs. Then if you don't give them a choice of like 3 kind of models or 3 kind of ways of doing it, then you will very often end up with this age group in, oh, it's too boring, oh, I don't like it, or they don't finish it. And they don't find this engagement. So you have to find something which is difficult in these times. They all want to wear their Nikes, right? And go to the shop and have no idea of how these shoes come about. So our teachers here, for instance, just recently take this idea of upcycling. Have you heard of that? This is, upcycling is when you take worn stuff, which people usually throw away, and make it up for using it anew, making something interesting and something new out of it. And somehow they meet the children with this, being concerned about climate change and all this stuff, all this what you are discussing. This is what they find interesting. And then they come up with their own ideas. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be the 100 years ago arts and crafts Waldorf style, but the teachers kind of developed it further in making it meeting our times, but still the same thing, being skillful, using resources we have, and let it be, yeah, let them train some skills. Think about what it is useful for. It should be useful. And then on top of it, it should be beautiful. It's not always beautiful what they do, but of course it may be a way of development. So yeah, just to give you this idea, give them a choice of what they can do, and let it meet somehow the spirit in zeitgeist. Yes. And there was something, did I see anything in the chat?
A question from Susia. What is the characteristic or quality an ideal Waldorf teacher should have?
I think it's curiosity and a love for learning yourself. So only through experiencing yourself in learning, yeah. It's not always easy. Sometimes it takes some hardship. However, if you have these experiences in learning, and you like to learn yourself, and then I think you have a good start as a teacher. What would you say, Ingwen? What would you say?
What is the quality of an Waldorf teacher?
Or what's a good start for becoming one, because you have recently been through this process, haven't you?
Yeah, I think the curiosity that you mentioned, that's the most important one, because only when I have the curiosity, then only I have that the forces to keep going, or else you will just feel like very tired. But once you have the curiosity to dig more and more and more, then the journey only can continue further. Yeah,
I think so.
but also at the same time, I also think that as a Waldorf teacher, also I need to have some time, some quiet time for myself to really think through what am I doing, instead of just keep doing without thinking further what's the purpose behind of it.
Yeah, I mean, and when it comes to be a Waldorf teacher, the most important thing, when I look back and I still experience every day, is that you give yourself this time you need. For instance, to prepare. Preparation is a kind of artistic process. You have to put things together in the right way for the children. You have to think of activities. You have to think how to present and how to engage them, how to interest them. And this to develop this, you need some time. It's a kind of contemplation time, that you look inside yourself of how to do it and how to bring this together. And I must say, from my experience, this is why in Waldorf we do not have these ready-made study books. I mean, after 100 years of Waldorf, you could expect these ready-made study books, first lesson, second lesson, third lesson. This is how it builds up. And so like we know it from any subjects in university teacher training. but we don't do it. We leave it open. We want the teachers to be creative, because only creative teachers can be artistic teachers, right? So this is why I like guidelines for the Waldorf teachers. And now it comes to the teacher training. When I talk about teacher training, I like the guidelines for the teachers. They have to engage themselves in the ideas, but they need also this openness, this open space for becoming creative by themselves. This is what I call the arts and crafts of being a Waldorf teacher. Yeah. Yeah, the curiosity, so we may add to this other question, is that you like it to be inventive and creative. Yeah. If you want ready-made recipes, ready-made procedures for teaching, then you miss the idea for Waldorf. This is also what I wanted to say with the arts, pointing out this process. It's a core process in Waldorf, being creative. It does not mean that you are always successful. Yeah, it also means that you have these lessons where you go out and say, oh shit, this went wrong all the way. But you try anew, right? You gather yourself together and then you try it anew. And this is how you work through these ideas. And this activity matters a lot for the children. Yeah, that they have a teacher who tries to find the best for them.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, sometimes still will feel like a little bit struggle. I already lack of ideas. I feel like my creativity already until the maximum. So any other way that we can continue to explore more? I mean, yeah. Sometimes feel like the quota already finished in
Yeah,
keep
when
creating.
when you feel pressure, you have this because you have to run this, do this every day. And there are these days where however much you want to be creative, it doesn't happen. Yeah, then it's good to do something by yourself, independently. The arts as well are for ourselves a source of recovery, I should say. Yeah, every Waldorf teacher should have an art, any kind of art he is engaged in order to relax, for the joy of it. Do it for the joy of it, because as teachers we have to be productive. Yeah, the day does not have enough hours for doing all or running after all our ideas. But if you give yourself some time for, let's say you love painting, give yourself some time in just doing this and letting flow, letting go. And you will feel that for becoming creative, you have to first give yourself time and space of not wanting anything, giving yourself some time where space and time is open. And then you engage yourself, or you are a musician, you play music, or you make music together with others. That where you open up and look into a totally different field and forget about your planning and your problems. Recover, I call this recovering time. Or even go for a walk, yeah, or do some sports or whatever. Then go back and you feel that ideas are coming, or an idea is coming. Sometimes it happens only until you enter the classroom. I call it the threshold pedagogy, yes? At the moment you enter the classroom, oh, bah, thank heavens, the ideas come. The ideas come, and then, yeah, you can teach right away, and with some energy. It gives you some certain kind of energy. When you feel it's boring in the class, or the children felt bored, yeah, it happens. You have to have this experience to see the difference. Then, you are lacking this energy of being creative. Especially in grade 8, grade 7. This happens a lot when you have these quiet children sitting there looking like, oh, don't bother me. Yeah, you have to make an effort. You have to be full of energy. And if you only are full of energy in mirroring them back, that I'm even more lazy than you. I have even less ideas than you. Okay, let's turn our thumbkins this lesson. Yeah, something will happen, yeah, because the human being is not that they want to be bored. The human being is, especially the children, and also in grade 7 and 8, they want to be engaged. They want to learn. Yeah, they want to make experiences. Yeah, so you can't press, you can't push or tear these ideas. You need, my experience is, you need to let go, kind of relax, and then ideas are coming. A different kind of engagement. Yeah, we always think we have to produce ideas. Once it comes to this state, it's not a very healthy state. If we engage ourselves, but this has to do with the human nature, if we engage ourselves in something and forget about these ideas we think we have to produce, then we get our head free from ideas and open up to the ideas coming rather than producing them. Receive ideas, I call it. Receive. They are there. You receive them rather than that you are producing them. Yeah, this is when it comes, it also happens in our world of pedagogy that people want these recipes. Oh, what do I do when, and how do I do it, and how did my predecessor do it in grade 8, and let me copy his blog book. Yeah, this, and then we feel safe, and we think this is how it should be done, then we copy. Yeah, but the real good teaching feeling is not that we copy, that I take the book of my colleague who did the blog a year before, and then I look through it, and then I have this idea, oh, I do it all differently. I do it all different. I do it all my way. I have other ideas. Yeah. And then you feel this energy of being creative. And this is also what the children, of course, need for becoming creative themselves.
Here is another question from JC. What about the middle grade kids? Should they be pushed if they are too dragging in doing homework especially?
Yeah, I think homework is the least creative thing we have in school, isn't it? So I have not solved this problem for your country, I must say, because the children are in school mostly all day long. Yeah, or until 4, I think, middle school. They go to school until 4. There is not much time left in the day for doing loads of homework. And when they are pushed, and sometimes even the parents want them to be pushed, yeah, because they are not so easy to handle in this age, then the teacher feels pressurized in giving them homework. I must say, from the point of view of creativity, homework is the least creative process. Yeah, it's just a duty. It's to train them in a duty. Okay, I can see the point in training them doing their duties, but I try not to pressurize them with it. Here we have rather this idea of giving them a certain amount of time where they have to do individual work. We call it kind of projects. Yeah. So let's say we have geography in grade 7. And then in the beginning of the block, I tell them, we are going to work on this and that and that and that. And I give you a task, or maybe even hand out individual tasks to the students and say, so in the last week, during the last week of the block, I expect you to hand in your work that you have been working on. Yeah, I pass out the tasks, so which also helps during the block for them to ask the right questions, because they have, say, you write about the savannah in Africa, and you write about the state of Algeria in Africa, blah. So they have something on their mind. They have to study and they have to bring something. They have their certain amount of time. And while I teach, they can bring their questions. Yeah. So I try to make them aware that we can get to the point better if we work together and they bring the questions. I may ask or answer, or even they may have a discussion among each other. So it's more this tendency here, feeling with the students, rather than being annoyed every day that they didn't do their homework, or a certain number of children didn't do it. I better give out this task, a whole task, and you work on this, and the rest we do in school. Some, try to make this work, what they have to they need to learn to work on something by themselves. But this everyday homework, I don't know, it's not too effective from the point of view of learning.
Noreen did said that extending their interest with homework can be more effective than giving a specific and same task for all of them.
To individualize, she means?
Noreen, would you like to?
Yes, that is actually what I meant. To have homework be something that you don't give like, oh, this is exactly what everybody is doing, but to fill the main lesson with some ending questions, perhaps sometimes, that will inspire them to go out and find more information. Or like you were saying, if you're doing geography, that you're going to report on a country or report on a region or something, and then they can develop their interest in that over a period of time, and even not have like a specific format, like we're going to report on geography, but you maybe can make a poster, or you can make a brochure, or you can do an oral presentation. And that way children who are very artistically inclined might take it in one direction. Someone who really likes to write about things will take it in another direction. And that helps them to see that there's more than one way to approach something like that.
Right, that's right. To show them different ways. And to individualize, this all children do the same homework for the next day. to sit down for half an hour or an hour in the evening at home is not very productive. And then, because then the next morning you have to check on them, and then it takes half an hour or a quarter of an hour time during the lesson that you have to check only on the homework whether it is done. And if you want to go into detail, it even takes half an hour, and then you have no time to teach the other. I mean, it's just not very effective for my feeling. Sometimes you have to do it, but if I have to do it this way, that from today, okay, you finish this until tomorrow, in order to prepare some dictation or some questions or some test, it's fine. Then I tell them what to do. It has to happen, but it shouldn't be too pressurizing. This is my experience. Always give them some freedom, and they have to learn to make a choice. You know, they have to learn to make a decision at this age. This very much meets the age when they are 14, 15. Yeah, so that when they come into grade 10, they know how to work independently. They have learned how to learn. Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about also this question of should they be pushed if they are too dragging? My experience with middle schoolers is that sometimes that is just their kind of approach. You know, they like to put on that persona. They are trying on that coat of, oh, what if I just sit here and do nothing? And, you know, or they, you know, like that's just kind of where they are sometimes developmentally, in that place of just kind of dragging their limbs along into the day. And sometimes if it's met with too much, pushing from the teacher, just like Ursula said, they have to discover it within. So if we are always pushing them from the outside to be like pulling them along, that takes an awful lot of effort on the teacher's part, first of all, and it is not always going to serve them well, because they have to find that place within themselves where they can pull themselves up and move themselves along. And so sometimes it's just for us, I think, to realize that they're going to have days when they seem like they're just like kind of a limp noodle in the chair. And no matter what we do, it's not going to really change that. And they're almost kind of like, you know, challenging us. Oh, are you going to let me sit here and be a wet noodle? Or, you know, you're going to put so much energy into this. And if we keep going along with the rest of the group and, you know, kind of, yeah, we can invite them in, but knowing that sometimes they're not going to come in, then the next day they might have more work to catch up on. And that's still the expectation that they have to do that. But they made that choice yesterday to kind of sit there, and we as the teacher made the choice to not drag them along. And so now the natural consequence is that they have a little bit more work to do that maybe they do have to take home, or they do have to find another time to do it. And so it's kind of that balance with middle schoolers, especially, to know that sometimes that is just the energy that they bring to it. And if you cajole them too much, it becomes, like I said, kind of like a challenge for them to like, oh, well, what's my teacher going to try to get me to do today? You know? Whereas if we put more energy into, you know, creating these lessons for them that are inspiring, eventually they come along with us, if somewhat reluctantly, and if maybe not, you know, waving banners and flags, they still do come along with us.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and this is where as a teacher you need to know what's behind their bodily presentation. Yeah, And from my experience, we shouldn't, sometimes we have to let them go, just let them be and don't pull too much. But we should also not let them down, but try to find individual talks rather than the talk within the classroom or in front of the others. Yeah. If you have the feeling something wrong is going on for too long a time with a boy or a girl, it helps if you show interest. For them, it's showing interest that I want to talk to you. So what does interest you? What do you want to do? Why is this boring for you? Why? And sometimes we don't know what's behind that. So from my experience, this helps. It can even be a small talk while they leave the classroom after the lesson or so, that it just may just be enough that you recognize he or she is there. Yeah. They feel generally this feeling of being lost. This is what they present. Yeah. When they linger about like that. And I'm lost in the world. I don't know what to do. And I just can't make it be interesting for me. So yeah, then you have to offer this interest of being interested in them. This sometimes they don't want to say anything. Just a blink with the eye is enough with some children. And others, once you start asking, then you will need half an hour to discuss with them. Depends on the temperament, of course. Yes. So middle school is the challenge. And then as a school, I mean, you are not working only by yourself within the classroom. You're always working in a Waldorf school together as a team. So you should know more or less what's going on in the other classes, what's going on in the other lessons. When you are a class teacher, what's going on in eurythmy and music? What are they doing? How are they performing there? And this brings together the engagement of the teachers for the children in the middle school very much. This is why we have these projects in grade 8, why we have the theater play where they have to perform in front of the school community and present themselves in a play. Yeah. So that not only and no longer only the class teacher is the one who carries the torch for them, but it's a whole group, it's a whole lot of teachers who are dealing with them, and they are growing into the community, into the school community, which matters then in the upper grades. Yeah, give them a choice and try different ways.
So, any more questions? And now almost time, and any last questions? Okay, so
But you're on holiday anyway. You're on holidays. So I wish all of you a very happy renewal during the holidays. Engage yourself with some artistic exercises to relax, and a very happy Christmas and a very good start for the new school year in January.
thank you, Ursula. Okay, so thank you everyone, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Ursula. And good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
Was this all online meeting, Ingwen?
Yes, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
And it
Okay.
was mainly the parents, the teachers, right?
Mainly is teacher.
Sharing.
Yeah, I
Teacher
think it's
sharing.
teacher.
Yeah.
Mm.
3 days, was it?
They have 6 days. Start from
Oh
the
my
last
God, that was long.
6
Oh,
days.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. So tomorrow will be the last day for the last day.
Okay. So
Mm. Yeah. So it's almost the end already. It's a
all on
long.
no artistic engagement
No.
whatsoever.
That's why I think Chi Cui this round also not joining.
Very theoretical then, my
Yeah.
ideas. But at least hope time will come where exercise. So you will start grade 1.
Next year start grade 1
Very good.
with 11 students.
Wow, quite a bit.
Yeah. Good too, not too small. If too small group also a little bit challenge like this year.
That's better.
Yeah.
And how many children are there in the next grade 5?
I think have extra one more. 5. Still a very small class.
So it's turning around. Yeah.
But other class I think at least also have 7 above. Good
But
too.
good. Then I wish you good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Relax a bit and have a good time over Christmas and the New Year.
Yeah, some relaxed time before the school start.
And thank you for helping.
Welcome. All right. So now is lunchtime at your place?
Almost.
Right.
Time. Almost.
Mm.
In between lunch and tea time.
Okay.
And frosty outside, frosty.
Oh, in Malaysia now is flood everywhere. We have a rainy season for few days, and this is I think it's the most serious flood for like 50 years.
Oh.
This round.
So along the coast, there are
No, in Kuala Lumpur.
floods in Kuala Lumpur. Because of the rain.
Yeah, because of the rain.
The system can't take it in.
Yeah, the system can't take it.
The drainage is not working.
This round is the most serious one, I think, for like 50 years.
That you ever experienced, yeah?
Yeah, but luckily my place, I always lucky really. My place didn't get this, but around my place all flood.
So the streets are full of water. Cars can't go.
Can't go. They shut down a lot of road because of the flood.
My God.
Yeah.
Oh.
But hopefully by today finally there's sun. So hopefully these few days will getting better.
Oh. Floods in Malaysia, KL.
Yeah.
It's good that it's holidays, right? Because it would cause.
Yes. Luckily it's school holiday, or else gonna be worse.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and see you here, right?
Okay, see you.
Bye bye.
Bye.